Ready for a deep dive.
Let's do it.
Today we're going deep on Leslie Zane's new book, The Power of Instinct.
Such a good one.
Have you read it?
Cover to cover. Twice.
Really?
It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it.
It really makes you think differently about marketing and just like life in general.
Yeah, so we are going to explore all that today, how unconscious persuasion influences us as consumers, voters, even in our personal lives.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Zane really digs into right away is how much of our decision-making is actually unconscious.
Yeah.
We like to think we're making these like rational choices, but
Right.
so much of it is driven by instinct and emotion.
So true.
Yeah, and she makes a pretty bold claim right out of the gate. She says traditional marketing, with its emphasis on conscious persuasion,
Okay.
it's dead.
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 Dead. That's a bold statement.
It is.
I mean, is that just hyperbole or does she back it up?
She backs it up. She's got decades of experience, working with major companies, and she argues that traditional marketing often fails because it overestimates the role of logic in our decisions.
Yeah.
Think about your own buying habits for a second.
Okay.
How often are you truly swayed by an ad's logic versus just a gut feeling?
I mean, I have to admit, most of the time, it is a gut feeling.
Right.
Like, I see something and I just want it.
Exactly.
But how do we tap into that want, both in ourselves and others?
Well, that's where the brand connectome comes in.
Ooh,
Have you heard of this?
I have not.
Okay, so imagine a web of associations in the brain,
Okay.
but it's linked to a specific brand or even just an idea.
Hmm.
And every experience, every message, even the subtlest cue,
Yeah.
it all builds this connectome.
Wow.
And the bigger and more positive it is, the more it influences our choices.
Oh, wow. So if I hear a jingle and instantly crave a certain soda,
Yep.
that's my brand connectome
That's it.
for that drink.
Yeah, it's like a mental shortcut.
Exactly. Like reaching for that soda on the shelf without even thinking about it.
Wow.
Dominant connectomes, they drive those instinctive automatic preferences.
This is fascinating.
It is.
But how does understanding this, this brand connectome,
Yeah.
how does that actually help us in a practical sense?
So whether you are marketing a product, building a personal brand, or even just navigating your personal relationships,
Wow.
this is essential knowledge. It's
Yeah.
about understanding the why behind the what,
Yeah.
decoding that silent language of the subconscious mind.
I love that, the silent language.
Yeah.
All right, so how do we actually build a brand connectome that works? What are the secrets to hacking our brains? Ethically speaking, of course.
Ethically speaking, right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the most surprising insights from Zane's book is that familiarity often trumps uniqueness.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I always thought brands were supposed to stand out from the crowd, be disruptive. We're kind of conditioned to think that.
Yeah.
But our brains, they crave the familiar.
It's like a cognitive shortcut. When we're overwhelmed with choices,
Yeah,
we naturally gravitate towards what we recognize.
that's so true.
Think about your favorite restaurant logo.
Okay,
It probably incorporates familiar imagery, but it's still unique to that brand.
right. It's not about being weird for the sake of being weird. It's about finding that sweet spot between familiarity and then a unique twist.
Exactly.
It's it reminds me of the music industry. Sometimes the best songs, are familiar samples, but they're reimagined in a new context.
That's a great point. Zane calls this being distinctive.
Distinctive.
Yeah, and it's not just about visuals either.
Oh, okay.
Think about slogans or even brand voices.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we apply this distinctive but familiar idea to messaging?
Right.
Because we hear all the time you need a clear, concise message.
You do.
So is that not important?
It is important, but Zane argues that our brains crave these multiple layers of meaning. A single message just isn't going to cut it these days.
Right. She calls this the layering effect.
The layering effect. So instead of a one-size-fits-all message,
Yeah.
you need to create a multifaceted narrative
Yes.
that connects with people on different levels.
I think of it like a good story.
Okay.
You need intrigue, character development, an emotional hook.
Right.
A brand should tell a story that unfolds across various touch points
Correct.
and that gradually builds this rich connectome that we're talking about.
Can you give us an example of a brand that does this well?
Yeah. So look at Patagonia.
Okay.
They've very successfully layered their brand message.
Oh, would.
They've associated themselves with environmentalism, adventure, and high-quality products.
Right.
So it resonates on multiple levels, attracts a diverse customer base.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about brands that focus really heavily on their purpose?
Yeah.
We hear all the time, buy our product because we're saving the planet.
Right, we're doing good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, purpose is important.
Okay.
But Zane cautions against relying on it exclusively.
Yeah.
While it can be a powerful motivator,
Yeah.
it needs to be integrated with those deeper, more instinctive desires that we've been talking about.
So it's not enough to just state your purpose.
Yeah.
You need to connect it to those emotional drivers
Yes.
that truly resonate with people.
Exactly. Consumers need to connect with your brand on an emotional level.
Yeah.
And that connection should be genuine and authentic.
This is all so fascinating.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've got familiarity layering and purpose.
Right.
What else should we know about how these instinctual drivers work?
Here's a thought-provoking one.
Okay.
While we might claim to crave reality, right?
Yeah.
Our brains are actually wired to seek out fantasy and aspiration.
Really?
Yeah, we're drawn to stories and experiences that promise a better version of ourselves or the world.
So you're saying that even in a world that's obsessed with authenticity,
Yeah,
a touch of aspirational fantasy is still a powerful tool.
absolutely. Think about like luxury car commercials.
Okay.
They're not selling transportation.
Right.
They're selling a fantasy of freedom, success, adventure.
It's like that old adage, sell the sizzle, not the steak.
There you go.
You've got to tap into the emotional desire behind
Yeah.
the practical need.
Exactly.
This is mind-blowing stuff.
It is interesting stuff.
But how do we actually put it into practice?
Right.
How do we make sure our message is tapping into these instinctual drives?
Well, that's where Zane's growth triggers come in.
Growth triggers. Okay.
Yeah, these are specific cues that activate positive associations. Think of them as like mental shortcuts to a positive brand experience.
Give me some examples. What kind of cues are we talking about here?
Okay, so think about the iconic Coca-Cola bottle shape.
Okay.
Instantly recognizable,
Yeah.
evokes feelings of happiness and nostalgia,
Right.
or the sound of a Harley-Davidson engine
Okay.
triggers a sense of freedom and rebellion for some people.
Okay. I'm starting to see how powerful those subconscious triggers can be.
Yeah.
But how do we identify the right growth triggers for our brand?
It's about understanding your target audience on a deep, visceral level.
Deep.
Yeah. What are their aspirations, their pain points, their unspoken desires?
Right.
Once you understand those,
Okay.
you can start to craft cues that resonate with them on a subconscious level.
These growth triggers are fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like you're planting these seeds of association in people's minds,
Right.
and they just sprout into these like powerful unconscious drivers.
Exactly.
But it makes me wonder, are there negative growth triggers?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, are there things we need to watch out for?
Yeah, just like a garden, our brand connectomes can be infiltrated by weeds.
Oh.
Those negative associations that can be really tough to eliminate.
So like, what could those be?
Think about a brand that's experienced like a very public scandal,
Right.
even years later.
Yeah.
That event might still be tainting people's perceptions of them.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So it's not enough to just focus on the positive. We also need to be aware of potential negatives
Yes.
and address them like head on.
Be proactive. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
This is starting to sound like a lot of work.
It is.
Is there like a tool or a framework we can use to keep track of all this?
Well, Zane doesn't offer a specific tool,
Okay.
but she highlights how important it is to use both traditional and then innovative research methods
Okay.
to really understand the subconscious mind.
Interesting.
Think beyond like surveys and focus groups.
Okay.
Explore techniques like implicit association tests.
Wow.
Or even fMRI brain imaging.
fMRI brain imaging.
Yeah.
That's next level.
Right.
Wow, that's taking market research to a whole new level.
It is. It's like we're finally starting to crack the code
Yeah.
of the subconscious mind.
It's so true. And the most exciting part of all of this is that this knowledge isn't limited to these big brands. It's not like only Patagonia can figure this out.
Exactly. Zane even says you're building your own brand connectome right now.
Really?
Whether you realize it or not.
Whoa. Okay, that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for us, like on a personal level?
So think about every interaction,
Okay.
every message,
Yeah.
every online post as a brushstroke
Ooh, I like
on the canvas of your personal brand.
Love it.
It's about being intentional with that.
Okay.
Aligning your actions with your values
Yeah.
and making sure that your online presence is really reflecting the image you want to project.
So it's not just about saying the right things, it's about embodying those qualities
Yes,
in everything we do.
100%.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly, and it's ongoing. It's a process, just like those big brands we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
They're constantly monitoring, adjusting their connectome.
Right.
We need to be doing the same thing for ourselves.
Reflecting, seeking feedback.
Yes.
And being open to adjusting our approach as needed.
100%.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It's good stuff.
Feels like we've uncovered this hidden layer of communication.
It is.
It's always been there.
Yeah.
But silently shaping our choices.
Right.
And perceptions.
Yeah. And by understanding these subconscious forces, we can become more effective communicators.
Become better storytellers.
Yes, more influential in every aspect of our lives.
I love it on that note. I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
We explored the fascinating world of the brand connectome.
Yes.
Uncovered the power of those growth triggers, and discovered that even in a world obsessed with logic and reason, instinct still reigns supreme.
Instinct is king.
So the next time you're trying to make a decision, big or small,
Right.
take a moment to listen to that quiet voice in the back of your mind.
Yes.
Your intuition.
Your gut.
It just might be your brand connectome guiding you toward the best possible outcome.
I love that.
Me too, and that's a wrap.